Hello, my name is Neil Hawkes. I'm the founder of the International Values-Based Education Trust, known as the IVET Foundation. I'm very proud to be the founder of that organization because it's been instrumental in developing something that's really dear to my heart, which is called values-based education. So I'm privileged today to speak with you, and I hope inspire you to work with values in your own life, in the life of your family, your society, your community, and in your business setting. A little bit about me. I've been involved in values for many years. How did I get into it? Well, that's a long story, if I may share a little bit of the story with you. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family that loved conversation. And one person that used to have lots of conversation with me was my paternal grandmother, who used to ask lots of questions. She was very curious. And she always used to say to me, Neil, make sure you are curious about life. Be a people watcher, she said. You'll learn a lot from people. So I became a people watcher. My father, too, was very instrumental. He said to me, Neil, he said, if you go into a pub when you're older, don't walk in and stand by people that you think are like you. Always talk to people who seem slightly different in some way. And what will happen is that you'll learn a lot from those people. Because he said we all get stuck in our own systems, our own families, our own mindsets, the way we think. So if you really want to find out of the world, really look at it in a wide way. When I left school at 16 years of age, I went into local businesses. I worked in the retail industry for a couple of years, and I had a really rich experience of meeting the general public, working in organizations, seeing how they operated, seeing their leadership styles, how they managed things. And that was a great lesson to me. However, during that time, I decided that my passion was to be a teacher. I wanted to share what I felt about the world, what I was learning. I wanted to share that with young people. So I became a teacher. And very quickly, I was privileged enough to become a head teacher of a large school. And I learned so much from the colleagues who worked for me. My two passions, I suppose, in my life are teaching and leadership. I'm often asked to speak about leadership because I have run large schools and I've been involved in the running of large local authorities as well. So I've employed a lot of people. I've been asked to sort of come along and interview hundreds of times. And as I say, I'm very interested in about leadership. Whilst in one of my headships, I was asked by Oxford University if they could study my leadership style because it was well known to get results. And people were saying, well, how does he do it? How does he get results? And it was at that time that I started sharing with people about values. The other thing about values was I was noticing back in the 90s that young people were increasingly coming to schools without understanding a basic vocabulary of values. They didn't understand words such as respect, tolerance, empathy, compassion, and all those sort of things. So I thought, what would happen if we actually made those words the bedrock of our work at a school? What would happen? Now, the interesting thing was for me, I won't go into the results with the children, but the effects on adults was phenomenal. Suddenly, the atmosphere of the school began to change into one of collegiality, one of empowering each other to do our best. If you have these universal values in your organization, then you have to model them. The modeling, of course, must come from the leadership. I've heard of companies that have what I call laminated values. They're values that are put up on the walls. But when you talk to employees, those values don't seem to be actually enacted throughout the company. So what I say when I'm being asked nowadays to talk to companies and other organizations, I always say it begins with the individual people in your organization. The leadership, whether it's a collective leadership or individual, must really think about their values. What values actually guide their thinking and behavior? Is it the bottom line, profit at all costs? Or do we put customers first? Are they the priority? Do we value customers and our employees? So the leadership has to decide what sort of organization they want. What is the culture of the organization? Is it a culture that's built on respect for each other, or is it about something else? I often say there should never be a hierarchy of relationships in an organization, only a hierarchy of roles. So we all know our role and we play that role as effectively as we can, and we hold each other to account for those roles. But in relationship terms, we care for each other, we respect each other. Everybody in the organization has equality. So the person who cleans the office has equal relationship as the person at the top of the organization. That's so important. I challenge you to look at that issue in your own organization. You know, how do you ensure equity amongst everybody? I say that because all the research is now showing that the very best of the companies actually employ this sort of thinking. So once the leadership can decide on its values, then those have to be shared with the organization. And the best way of sharing is actually to encourage everybody to look at values and have a company decision on what values should drive your organization. So it's not a top-down model. It comes up from everybody. And if it comes from everybody, then you have buy-in. Stakeholders buy into that. So values change an organization. All organizations have values. You can't not have values. What I did when I first introduced values into a school setting, we became explicit. We were explicit about our values. A values-based organization ensures that everything that you do in the school is underpinned by universal positive human values, such as respect, tolerance, and those other wonderful things. What are the outcomes, you might say? Why should we be bothered with this? The outcome is that you have a happy workforce. And in these COVID times, that must be a priority. There's more working at home. How, if employees are working at home, do you maintain a feeling of togetherness in the organization? How do you all work together? So some new challenges are in front of us. But starting with values, and my colleagues will help you think about that, will bring enormous results. People are happier. They feel more content. One thing I would caution you about, and that is organizational values mustn't be in conflict with personal values. Where those two values are in conflict, then you get disharmony. So in your organization, look to ensure that your personal values are the same as your corporate values so that people feel comfortable. Anyway, I hope you enjoy working on these values in your organization. You may have visited them once before, but may I encourage you to look afresh, look to see the possibilities. And from my experience, you will find out that your organization will be a more equitable one, and dare I say, more profitable. But profitable not only in the economic sense, but in human terms as well, because your employees will enjoy working in the organization even more than they do, because they will know that they will be recognized for who they are as people. Trust will be developed in your organization, and above all, it will be harmonious. Thank you very much for listening to me. Do enjoy your values, and thank you. Bye-bye.